Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for holding this hearing and trying to get a bipartisan approach on this with the ranking member, Senator Murkowski. I appreciate your focus both on civilian and defense waste, and I think you mentioned something earlier before I got here. We were at a Commerce Committee markup and about this very issue as it related to your legislation. So I think your legislation takes an important step forward in calling out defense waste. I think it should go a little further, that defense is not an afterthought, that we don't go through this whole process again with the Blue Ribbon Committee approach of dialoguing and then come to the end and it's kind of a footnote. We need this to be a central part of the discussion, and so that's what I would be looking for in legislation. People know that Hanford in Washington State continues to make progress on an incredibly complex and costly endeavor, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for visiting that site. But we need an endpoint and a place for the recovered high-level waste to go. And to me, it's unacceptable to our state, my constituents, to think that Hanford is just going to end up being that repository for that vast amount of high-level defense waste. So earlier this year, DOE determined that 6 of the single-shell waste tanks at Hanford are leaking radioactive and hazardous materials into the ground. And so I'm not telling you anything you don't know, Mr. Secretary, but to me, establishing a disposal site to isolate the high-level defense waste is the best, most comprehensive, cost-effective way to deal with the immediate problem of a plan for the high-level waste out of these tanks. And to have that comprehensive plan and make sure that we have revisited this issue of commingling and come to a decision, and hopefully then have this plan for defense waste updated every 5 years so that we've addressed this problem. So first, I guess my question is, do you think our nation should have an explicit plan on dealing with the defense waste? And how do we make sure that it doesn't get lost in the debate this time around?
Senator Cantwell, I certainly agree that we need a plan for high-level waste. I think we will have a plan for high-level waste. The question of commingling as or not commingling as the approach is one that we are studying right now, as recommended by the Commission and by the administration strategy, and specifically, I would say, endorsed by S-1240. So we think this is a very important study to do. We expect to have results for you in the fall on that.
That would explicitly reevaluate whether separating them is the right.
It would look at all the factors involved in terms of commingling or not, recognizing that there are somewhat different waste forms, but technically they probably could be stored together. So many factors, and we are bringing all those together in an ongoing study.
Well, I appreciate that before you said that relook was necessary, and since your Hanford visit and you see the urgency, having a plan that's cohesive with the defense waste that is going to be, processed and a place for storage, those are real near-term dates.
Yes.
And would you agree, a great challenge to us as opposed to the commercial issues, which are longer and separate, can be separate issues as it relates to the science and storage.
Look, we're very, very committed to the high-level waste movement, as well as the spent fuel. And at Hanford, we have every intention of there's both the things in the future, like the WTP waste that will be made into glass. There's also other things like K-basin fuel that's been repackaged currently on the Central Plateau. So we need to have a place to move all of this. And again, we will come back with the results of our commingling study probably in a couple of months.
Okay.
2-3 months.
Again, Mr. Chairman, this will be a key sticking point for me on this legislation, but I really appreciate you and Senator Murkowski's leadership on a bipartisan effort. Thank you.